All right, welcome to Escapist Corner, episode 355. No, I don't know what episode this is, but today we have a bit of a different episode. We're here in the media centers of the Escapist CrossFit men's locker room at the moment, so we can have some privacy recording this. With me, I have Rebecca Fox.
Hi.
Rebecca, tell us who you are and what we're doing today.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Rebecca, and I'm originally from Canada, and I've been in Berlin since legally 2013. We won't get into what was happening before then, but I'm here, and I
want to know.
It's a different podcast. I've been part of the Escapist community for 2 years now. In that time, I've kind of gone through a big transition in terms of my career, and recently I've become a transformational life coach, and I also did my level 1 in September, and before that, at the beginning of the first quarantine in March, I started the precision nutrition certification. So kind of had a busy year, but I'm here now, and we're going to talk about lots of interesting things today. So yeah.
So you've gone through all these different this huge transformation and so on. What did you do before this, just so the audience can...
Yeah, so I would sing and dance and act. I was a musical theater performer, mainly a singer. I did every musical you could ever imagine in Canada and New York, where I studied in New York. Kind of started working at a high level from a really young age, at about 5 or so. And when I graduated high school, I went to New York, studied there, and then continued working. Moved to Toronto, worked there as a musical performer, and decided that I didn't want to do it anymore. After being here a few years in Berlin, I wasn't fighting for it the way that I used to, and decided to, change what I wanted to do and go towards something that was more fulfilling for me. Yeah.
I think many of us have kind of similar stories, and not everyone, but similar stories in finding something that transforms us. It might be CrossFit, it might be something else. It might be dancing. Mm-hmm. For some people, they discover that when they grow old. We're not old yet.
No.
But getting more mature, for sure. Mm-hmm. And what are we doing today, Rebecca?
Well, today we're going to be talking about something that's very relevant to our worldly climate right now, which is how to use a lockdown or setbacks in life. How do we benefit from them? How do we use them to work on the things that maybe we, often neglect, and how we can, perhaps change some patterns. So that's where we're going to start today, with many different elements of that.
Sounds good. It sounds like something I've wrote something about.
It does sound like something you wrote about very recently.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So where do we start?
So the first one, which is incredibly important, they're all incredibly important, but we're going to start with the relationships in your life and keeping your contacts close. And so the first question I want to ask is, how can you keep your contacts close in a time like this, where we're specifically asked not to gather in groups? Exactly.
And I think it's very important for people to to gather. It's very important for us, like psychologically, but our entire health depends on if we are staying connected with people. And all science says, you can be the healthiest prick on earth, but if you don't have friends, you're gonna die young, basically. And we like in these conditions right now we have the lockdown, but I think this can happen at many times in your life where you are in a busy work period, or something is happening. Maybe you have like a huge pivot in your life with your family, or whatever. You're moving away, you're starting a university, or things happen. And the social connections are super important. And the benefit of like today is, of course, we can do so much via virtual and so on. So of course, like have virtual stuff if you can. However, this is kind of the caveat, is that so many of us are, I don't know, kind of tired of the screen. We're fatigued from like we're conditioned watching our screens all the time, and this I think builds up some resentment within us. So I think just a simple damn call is so much has so much value. So I've tried to coach people into doing this almost like a daily ritual right now. When you don't see your colleagues, you're constantly just communicating over Slack or email or WhatsApp, but no like real interaction. So call someone you know, a good friend that you might call every day anyway, but also think outside the box maybe and call someone you don't call that often. And I think this is the like super easy things we can do, and they actually do a lot to fulfill us. So for example, if I ask you, when did you talk to your granddad last time?
Probably summertime, and we would Zoom, but I do receive phone calls from them every now and then. And actually, I think my grandparents and my father are the only people that still actually leave like voicemails. And that's a really nice thing to hear, actually, to hear a voicemail, because we don't hear them so often. We usually leave, like a voice text. But to see that somebody's call, you missed the call and you get a voice message, I mean, it's old school now for us, but it's kind of nice.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of old school, this is also things that we can also do, is just send a letter. Yeah. A handwritten letter to actually show that you put some thought into it, some care. And I'm not saying I'm best at this, but definitely something I have done, and I value too when I get something. And it has so much more value than a text message. And what I wanted to get to with this kind of the call thing is that so often too, when we have like busy relationships all the time, is that we are constantly busy with superficial relationships. But the ones that really, really matter in life, which are usually the ones that are, with the closest ones in your family or so, you're not connecting with them. So I don't know, I've seen this multiple times as like people that are super, super active with everything, but at home, like it's a broken connection with between the parents, or if they're between the siblings or something like that. So just to take up that kind of battle in one sense, because I think people try to refuse to take those battles because they're, I don't know, feeling disappointed by the parents or whatever. But this is always the things that come up when people go to the psychiatrist, or if they're at their deathbed. It's always about their, you know, their life connections and the close connections, and they regret they didn't have closer connections. So we can use this time to
I think we
strengthen those.
We take our relationships for granted often, you know, with friends. And I think what this year has given us is an opportunity to deepen in, to kind of look at ourselves and look at our relationships and really figure out what do we want from them. How much of ourselves do we want to give, you know, to the people in our life?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move on to the next topic, eating habits.
Oh yeah.
So, the first question I have is, you know, during this time where our schedules can be, you know, very different than what we're used to, is what is the benefit here? What is the benefit of having a change in our schedule?
Yeah, most people don't like change, and now we're forced to change. And I think basically what is super easy at this point is, of course, like when it comes to eating habits, is just to actually, you can pick out exactly when you want to eat and what you're gonna eat, and you just order that. If you bulk order that, prep your food, and everything is ready at home, and you can go. Now this is easier said than done, we've seen this in last lockdown. We've seen this lockdown that people are rather pivoting into bad habits, just eating pizza. They're, you know, snacking constantly, and basically being bored is one reason too for this kind of bad behavior happening. And maybe, you know, comforting yourself a bit about the stress this situation is giving on many, like work-wise and so on. So they are, you know, trying to comfort themselves with you know, tasty stuff. And but yeah, this is an opportunity to actually rethink and reframe your thinking of how can I use this time. Like we say, the lockdown is going to be 4 weeks. No, it's going to be 12 weeks. But, you know, as long as this lockdown goes, you are going to be doing this, X, whatever it might be. And you stick to it, and you have full control of it. There's no one from outside going to control you, or you're not going to be dependent as much on, you know, scheduling, traveling, and stuff like that. So all those excuses are gone. And I had something in the back of my mind too when it comes to that is, people are they have the best opportunity right now, but there's a lack of information also in what should I actually do, what should I eat, and so on. So obviously I understand this is a huge problem, even though I think we're constantly sharing stuff that you can do and so on via our platforms. I do it via, you know, all the different ways I can do it, but still it's like, so what should I eat? So
I think people, you know, I think people have, you know, like they understand the foundational, you know, aspects of what you should eat, and, you know, the things that you should stay away from. But I think that really, at the end of the day, you can have as much information as there is out there, and there is nonstop information. Everybody's got a smartphone, everybody's got a, you know, computer, everybody has access to all of this information. It's really about just taking ownership of it and like saying to yourself, do I really need to eat this right now? Am I really hungry right now? Will this work for me in the long term? Does this suit my goals or the path to my ultimate goal? And and recognizing that and acknowledging, that voice that kind of creeps up in your head that says, oh, come on, it's just, it's just like a handful of chips. What's that going to do? Well, it's the snowball effect, right? It's a handful of chips tomorrow or today, and then it's, a handful of, peanut butter M&Ms the next day. And then it's just day after day, even if it's just, one thing every day, that will add up. And so I think it's important to sometimes even have a mantra for yourself, just to kind of keep it in the forefront, especially if you're working on a specific goal. Or if it's something that, part of your life that you do want to change, you do want to lose some weight, you do, have that kind of, little extra that, just won't go away. It's not brain surgery to get that weight off, but it does take commitment, and it does take you being a little more assertive with yourself and not giving yourself the pass or the sympathy every day, or everybody in the office is having a piece of this, why can't I? Well, because I'm working on my goal. I'm working on myself. And I think that is when you start to really, take stock of who you are, and you start to care a little bit about who you are in the direction of where you want to ultimately go.
Yeah. And from my perspective too, is like looking at myself. Of course, it's like when I said you need to do, but you can do X, meaning from my perspective, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you try something. And this is kind of a perfect time to try something. And as if you've been trying around a lot of things, then you start to kind of understand the things that you need to do. And also from my own experiences that it's very easy to get lazy. I can be very convenient and lazy when it comes to food and diet and so on. So for me, it really helps to be as black and white as possible, because it takes out all the question marks. Yeah. Meaning, like, if I'm doing intermittent fasting, there's no question mark if I can eat now or yes or no. It's just, okay, before this time of clock, I can eat good. After this, like, no, it's out of the window. Sorry, I passed it. And I'm not like, oh, but I'm so hungry and so on. No, I'm just like, this, past the window. And if I feel a bit hungry, that's mostly psychological. So it's not going to hurt me. And same thing with the foods, like what kind of foods. Same thing for me. For me, it is like, this helps if I know exactly what I need to eat, what I have to eat. And the more black and white it is, and it's not like, sometimes you can do this and so on. That doesn't work for me. So I need to be a bit more, stringent with this, with my feeding. But you are doing something now with your diet, right? Yeah,
I'm working with one of our coaches here, Mark, who's designed a very specific plan for me, which also coincides with with how I'm training right now, and it's a 3-month fat loss goal, and I hit my macros every day. And I have, for me, what always helps me is I set up my environment. So in our house, I have now multiple scales and, measuring spoons and measuring cups. And I keep the food in the house that I know I can eat, and I can eat without having any kind of feeling of, or any question marks. They're all foods that I know will make me stronger, healthier, better, faster, happier. And they're all nutrient dense. They're all delicious. I cook them how I want to cook them. But right now it is an intensive plan, and I have to hit a specific target every day, which not every day is incredibly easy, because I can eat, chicken and eggs till the cows come home. But when it comes to stuff like, yogurt. I can only eat so much of it until, I can't. But I'm doing this as a short-term plan to see the benefits, and to feel the benefits, obviously, and to see how I can, once the plan is over, how I can, continue to implement these methods in my life.
Yeah, I think that's, again, goes back to trying something out.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you need to do this for the rest of your life.
No.
But being curious and trying something out really is the key here, because you're going to take some herbs from this, and then next time you're going to take some other herbs, and you build up your kind of, the stable and the
right. And I think it also just comes back to, something that we've talked about is that, you make a goal and you commit to it. It's like anything that we've already talked about, or keeping your relationships. It's like, do you want to keep your relationships? Yes. What do you have to do to put in the work? Right. And so right now I'm putting in the work of being incredibly precise, to meet my goal, to see how that goal feels, to see how it can exist in the greater scheme of my life. So
yeah, it comes down to this kind of notion of getting your being in control and showing that you're showing progress is like a huge. It's very good, like psychologically, for us to just have something and achieve something and work on something. It doesn't matter if it's in your nutrition or if it's a different habit. We say, like, making your bed every day. If that's like, if you can at least do that, or something in that line, just but yeah, I think right now best time to work on your diet.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can kind of segue this into our next topic, which is training. And the first question that I have is how can you keep training right now, or when you're in a place where you don't have a gym available to you? How can you keep going?
Yeah, so just before we started with the podcast here, we had a vibrant discussion about training and motivation and stuff. And it's very common that people lose their motivation when there's a lockdown, or you're injured, or something happens in life that keeps you from going to the gym or going to a specific place where you used to train. You can't run anymore because you injured your foot or something like that. But this is, again, perfect opportunity to work on other stuff. And we just need to change our mindset from training outside the gym. It's not going to be the same thing. We're not talking about it's not going to be the same experience of 1 hour training in the gym. And we also there's nobody saying that you need to train for 1 hour or 2 hours or 4. But most important is that you do something. And I think this is like the mindset that people need to fix. And I'm speaking mostly now for the regular Joe, is to, get training 15 minutes a day. Is going to have a huge impact. Not tomorrow, but in 1 year, you're going to be fucking awesome. And you're going to be a top tier fitness compared to the rest of the population, just by doing something for 15 minutes. And that sounds like ridiculous for someone who hasn't done it, and they're kind of, I don't believe that, and so on. But this is completely true. If you hit something very intensively for 15 minutes, you can create a lot of actually damage to your muscles, and they repair, and they get stronger, and you grow. But yeah, you need to have a plan for it. So when you start, if you haven't done anything before, it doesn't make any sense for you to do max out whatever movement and burn yourself out. It usually leads to demotivation and stuff like that. But you need to start with something, probably not too intense at the beginning. But we want to gradually increase the intensity to a level that's really smashing you out. And again, every day doesn't have to be that, but a couple of times a week. And I'd rather prefer that, putting 15 minutes to that, than this 1-2 hours of running every day. That is just a waste of time. Physiologically seen, it's you're stressing your heart like hell, but you're not really working on so many things. You're not working on your strength. You're not working on so much on your coordination and balance and neurological aspects of movement. And basically just running straight forward, and you can be very good at that. But then as soon as we put something in between you and the running, an obstacle or so, or a weight or so, you're just gonna suck. So I rather see someone doing 15 minutes of sprints than a 1 hour of some kind of jogging.
Right.
I don't think it's not, it's not that you should never do it, but to do that, I'm training 5 times or 3 times a week, I jog. Okay, it's better than nothing, but do 15 minutes of sprints instead and just save yourself that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of to go along with that is we come to the gym every day, and it's great because you have the group, you see your friends, whatever, and you've got the workout set for you, right? You don't have to think. And but there is something about this time right now where it's you have the opportunity to be in control of how you want to design your workouts. You can be creative. You can add other aspects of your life into your workouts. You can be outside. You can, do partially at home, partially outside. You can, incorporate your children or your spouse and change the way that you would normally go about going to the gym every day or coming to a class every day. I know it can seem daunting. Oh God, now I have to be creative. Be creative, and even if you can't, you can go onto CrossFit.com or millions of websites, find a 15-minute workout, something that, is body weight if you don't have the equipment at home, or something that's outside, and just do it. And you're right. It doesn't have to be an hour or 2 hour long session. It can be something that you want to do. Find what you want to do.
I mean, basically, this is what we are doing is that, we have workouts at the gym and so on. But the main benefit of what we're doing is that we are creating accountability to people. Mm-hmm. So you are committing to something. Mm-hmm. It is, in one sense, it's monetary. So you have to pay for something. Mm-hmm. So you actually keep to it. But then it's also the scheduling. So you need to structure yourself a bit. And this is, again, nothing that is super easy. Statistically, it's very hard for people to do it. It's 95% can't do it. They need to have some kind of outer structure.
Right, yeah.
And this is basically what the fitness industry lives from. Mm-hmm. And also the global gyms, they thrive from this because they can sell membership cards mm-hmm. without people using them. Mm-hmm. But if we look at more what we are focusing on is that, again, trying to get the accountability into mm-hmm. to people and understand that the biggest benefit of someone in our gym is not is not going to be over 3 weeks or so on, but it's over years. So mm-hmm. somebody who stays here and trains for 10 years is going to extend his life, of course, but life quality and all those stuff. And I mean, that's one of the main benefits here. But now when we don't have this opportunity to go to the gym, then we need to figure out other ways to do it. And we can still do that, and we try to help people with that. But that's why you can meet with your friends, or if you're allowed to, or you set up something in your schedule with a call with a friend to start something, or you set up you contact a coach and set up a plan with your coach, and then you have the accountability, and you don't have to think about being the creative and stuff like that. I mean, in the best of the worlds, everyone would be that, but they're not, and I fall into this category myself sometimes, but I stay committed by being the ones putting people committed. So that's one way that works for me.
But I think also like something else to just kind of throw at you is, it's like, why is training important to you in the first place?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, very good. So why is it important for you? So it's important for you, not just because of the physical performance, that you can do stuff and you have more options in life, and you can lift anything, you can run, you can throw things, and you're simply more versatile as a human being. But this trickles into everything you do in life, right? So if you are a banker, or you're a photographer, if you're a fucking fit photographer, you can do the best photography in the world, because you can get to places that nobody else can get to. You can bend in ways that nobody else can bend. You can hold your camera much longer than anyone else. You can just produce much more work. And if you're a counter or whatever it is, basically the same thing. You're going to be able to have more focus. You're going to be able to make better decisions faster. You're going to not be as lethargic. You're going to simply be crushing numbers faster. So just think about like increasing your level in productivity, even if it's just 5%, but 5% per day over 200 days a year. It's a lot of extra numbers you're going to crush. Yeah. So that's and what if it doesn't have to be work. It can be other qualities like family life. You can take care of your kids better. You're not going to have pain. You're not going to think about even obstacles. Yeah, you can climb up with your kids into the jungle gyms and stuff. I love doing that, and sometimes I when I go to the playground with my kid, and I see other parents or other moms looking at me because I'm climbing up to the top with her. A lot of moms can't do that, or a lot of dads can't do that. Either they don't want to, but a lot of the times they simply can't because they don't have the fitness. They don't have the fitness, and I mean, I think everyone can relate to this, is that most grown-ups don't do it because they will feel looking stupid when they do it. And when you start to get more confident with yourself and your abilities and so on, you stop caring so much about what other people think, which is also like a huge thing to take off yourself. It's just stop caring about what other people think about you. So but this goes gradually, and it trickles down in all parts of life for sure. Yeah, and that's a perfect segue, because we're going to talk about sleep and why is sleep important? Let's just start there. Well, sleep is important. We kind of know, but we also kind of don't know. But we know that if a person has impaired sleep, they perform less. And that's also in sports and all kind of neurological activity. And we know this by just tracking people in study groups and you put them, you just cut their sleep with 10 minutes and they're going to perform less. And then there's this notion, however, out there that like, but we're different. I can operate on maybe 5 hours and you need 7 and so on. And that's not true. So there's like a very small percentage of people that can operate on like 6 hours and 34 minutes. And everything below that, their performance goes down. However, like 6.5 hours is kind of okay for them, but that's like a super small percentage. So for you to be in that group, you have basically the same chance of having a flight accident or something like that. You're one in a millions of millions that might be in this group. And then we have the normal people. Most of us need 7.5 hours really, and if we don't, well, science is clear, like you will perform less.
Yeah, I mean, I sleep between 8.5 to 9 hours a night, and it's great. And I know that I feel it the nights that I don't sleep like that. And I feel it the next day in the gym, or I just feel, just not my best self. And so my question is if you were to change your sleeping habits, and let's say gave yourself an extra hour of sleep, how specifically will your life improve or change?
So one thing, of course, is that people having problems with their weight, they will have an easier time to get off those extra kilos or pounds, because the hormones also just go completely out of whack when you don't sleep enough. And so that's one thing. So again, your performance will go up. Your overall recovery and so on in training and so on will go up, not just during the sleep, but actually during the day. Your memory will improve. It will get normalized, I guess, meaning you will be less forgetful and having more focus, being less distracted and stuff like that. So this is kind of one for sure key point is the multitude of effect you get out of that. So without the sleep, you really which I see is probably the foundation of, first you have to sleep well, and then you have to feed yourself well, and then you need to train, and that's kind of the order you need to operate in it. You can kind of sleep less, but you will get less out of the nutrition, less out of the training.
So let's say there's somebody that just wants to, decides, okay, I need to sleep an extra hour. What's like the first thing that they can do to just start? How can they just start? They're ready. They're able to do it. What would you say is like kind of a good first kind of step into just sleeping longer?
Well, it's basically you have to set a rule where you say it is 10 p.m. is bedtime, and it doesn't matter if I sleep or not. Meaning, for some people, it becomes stressful to know that I need to sleep at 10. So basically, what you want to do is set a rule. If it's 9:30 or 10 p.m. or 9 p.m., you just need to set your rule, and basically everything that has to be done before, you try to do it before. But if you don't manage to do it, it happens next day. And it doesn't matter what it is. Of course, like if your house is on fire and so on, then you can put out the fire. And this is the reason why we have this flexibility in our sleep too. Like we get kids and so on, we need to have this flexibility of having impaired sleep and so on, and still being able to operate. But yeah, otherwise, like for a normal day, if it's you didn't manage to watch the Netflix whatever to the end, like doesn't matter. Even like you didn't manage to I don't know, clean all the dishes or so on, like you do it tomorrow, and then try to figure out tomorrow how you can do that faster. But just trying to be very okay with it, to just I can let things go at now, and then go to bed and spend time in bed. Even though if you're not sleeping, that's also okay. You just need to have a break from the world, and that's totally okay. Like all the problems outside, it's also okay to forget them for this moment. Yeah. And there can be a lot of like stressful things going on. Like right now, if you look at this pandemic and lockdowns and so on, I assume a lot of people are, stressed out as hell. Like, and even in these points, there might be situations where you would say, this is the time I need to neglect my sleep so I don't go under. Again, if your house is on fire, you need to put out the fire, but otherwise, if you can, you will still say, I do that tomorrow.
Right. I used to say a lot, okay, I'll sleep when I'm dead, but like now, no, I do prioritize my sleep, just because I know how important it is, especially, being, doing CrossFit every day. It's like, you do need it, and you do feel the difference when you have it versus when you don't have it. And this is this kind of...
So how do you do it?
I have a routine, obviously. I have a routine for everything, but once we get our daughter to bed, I kind of do like a once over of the house, and I just, I get into bed and I have my tea, and my husband, okay, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I will. He likes to, watch a show at night. But I've been reading at night, and even if I get through a paragraph, because if I'm in bed, reading is not going to last very long, but I just, a paragraph, a few good sentences, put my book down, and I go to sleep. I don't wear the headphones at night. I turn off electronics, and I just, read a paragraph and close my eyes and go to sleep. And I think, at first it was uncomfortable, and your mind is racing, and you want to like turn over and look at the TV and see what he's watching. But I just force myself to just, and then like that, I'm asleep. So thankfully I'm a good sleeper. So
yeah. I mean, I can speak from my perspective is that I'm not close to being a good sleeper. I was never a good sleeper. So I know the struggles of that point of view of not getting to bed at time, and for me, I feel so my hardest thing is that I'm the most creative at night, in the evening, and I'm trying to figure out if this is only a story I'm telling myself, or if it's just this time of the day where I actually have my time. Yeah. And all other hours are just busy with, having a lot of things coming from outside, people trying to reach you, call you, text you, you have meetings and so on. So at nighttime is usually like the only time where it is like there's nothing from outside that needs to be, or I could say I can shut down at 8 or 9. But this is the time where I, get creative then, because there's no pressure in doing anything. So I can even sit like at my couch table. I never sit on the couch anymore, so I'm usually sitting on the floor, and I can just have a piece of paper in front of me, and I maybe put down one word, and sometimes I just come up with like all different ideas, and I get excited, and I need to complete them. So from talking from that experience, I know how hard it is to turn off, and but I also know the benefits of doing it and actually turning off and just say it's okay, and I don't need to have this window. I don't need to do this, because I will create new opportunities for those. So So I think you need to anyhow figure out your habit.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a super structured routine, but it has to be something that you can, somewhat rely on. And you don't have to read an entire chapter. Read a few paragraphs or a paragraph, and it just... the benefit is now, like, I never have to think about, will I fall asleep? Because I can basically just turn on the sleep button anytime. So if I try to read in bed, I can stay with the same page for 2 months. Mm-hmm. Nothing happens. So going into our next topic, which is a little bit similar, but it's rest and recovery. Yeah, exactly. So one big part of training is recovery. So you need to have enough recovery for yourself to actually build yourself up. And it's very common that people think that they have to do more and more and more to burn more and more and more calories or whatever it is. But it's actually disabling themselves, and they're just adapting themselves to just this overload of work. And you're not really peaking in any sense. Like, you're not, if we say like a CrossFit workout, if you're doing 2 CrossFit workouts a day, you're not really peaking at any of them, because you're not putting the absolute max effort in any of them then. So there is like less is more when it comes to that, and you need to have that amount of recovery in between, and science is pretty good at that too. So you can see people that rest less after hard training, their numbers going to start to decrease. And you see this in weightlifting, you see this in endurance, and at one point you will simply break, and the body breaks because it doesn't have time to heal. Because when you train hard, what you're doing, you're breaking your body down. So your muscles are breaking, your tissues are breaking down, but in the repair of those tissues, that's when you get strong. Mm-hmm. But if you are constantly just trashing your muscles and it barely keeps up recovering, your muscles will not get stronger or faster, and at some point something will break. And this is what happens with like high performance athletes. They need to be on this like thin line of where it kind of almost breaks, and at some point it usually also does. So it breaks, and they need to step back, and maybe their career is over. And for normal people, this is obviously nothing you want to strive for, but I think it's also, you need to also be there and not be too comfortable either, but you need to allow yourself to also say it's fine to recover. You don't have to stress about it, and especially in this situation with lockdowns and so on, you don't have to be the best weightlifter right now. Like that, there's no, you can still work on stuff for that, like work on your ability that will make you a better weightlifter. But there's so much simple things we can work on that will benefit ourselves after a lockdown. But be careful with that, but obviously also understand that the recovery rate is going to be different if you're beginning training or if you've been training a lot. Well, I'm also always curious about, active recovery and how active is your recovery. So, I mean, and I guess it's all relative, but, for some, an active recovery is a 5K, right? After maybe doing the day before doing like a Murph workout or one of the hero workouts. So how do you measure, how do you appropriately gauge your kind of your active recovery?
I mean, basically what they say is like, okay, active recovery is kind of just getting your heart beat up slightly to 110, 120 beats a minute maybe. And if you're going above that, you're simply starting to stress your body, and your recovery will get less effective.
Okay.
So this is kind of something I'm frowning when I'm seeing like some athletes, CrossFit athletes, like, I hit my PR now, and it's active rest day, like boom, and like that's not active rest, man. And you can, I mean, you can do that and so on, but you will definitely, there's like the other side of the coin. The price you need to pay for that will usually come. But again, sometimes you want to be here on that kind of not edge, but you want to touch it sometimes. And unfortunately, sometimes we break, and sometimes these like breaks also are good for us,
right?
Because we need to calibrate and understand that I was wrong. I need to refigure my training, my nutrition. But obviously you don't want like, no coach wants you to break. That's like meaning that you get out of training and you fall apart and you get into depression or whatever. Like, no.
I think like it's like, what's the cost? Yeah. All right, let's get into our final topic, which is mindfulness.
Yes. So the head again, and I was a bit into this when we were talking about sleep, and it's the mindfulness as I see it is, I mean, I've taken a lot of this from Sam Harris, who is a American philosopher, and he speaks a lot about, what's the cost of being unfocused and being lost in thought, which is like very common. It happens to everyone. Even if you're like a Zen Buddhist, you will also be lost in thought. But it's the awareness of, am I lost in thought? And then kind of be able to snap back. And the more you practice this, of course, you're going to be more and more focused on whatever task you're doing, whatever goal you're working on. You're not constantly just distracted by stuff. And I think this is like a huge thing to work on, to be more mindful if it's about your feelings, everything, and being able to do that is like a skill, as reading, right? So if you can read, you will be able to do that for the rest of your life. And same thing with mindfulness. If you're able to understand yourself and everything around your mind, you will have an extra tool. And when it comes down to anything in life, it's actually your mind that is the most important. Whatever you're doing in life, all the experiences you have, good, bad, they're inside your mind. Meaning, if you want to be more happy, feel more fulfilled, you need to be in control of your head. It's not about how much money you have on your bank account. It's not about your car. It's about the signals inside your brain. So you can even be delusional in that sense that you can be happy, swimming in the sewers, and but basically being able to control your mind to that extent is your choice. And I like the idea from like Viktor Frankl, who wrote what's it, Man's Search of what's it called? Blanked on the name of the book, but Man Searching for Meaning, I think it's the title. And basically he was in these concentration camp, and he was in solitary, only himself. He got harassed by the guards every day, tortured, and so on. But he made an active choice of not get broken down.
Right.
And because he understood, they can take my body, they can do everything, but inside my head, I'm in control.
Right.
Nobody will control that.
Right. Right.
And the same thing we can do in our everyday life. We don't have to be in a concentration camp to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I agree with you. Yeah, our mind can do incredibly powerful things, and it can, if we give ourselves permission to not allow all this, self chatter and self talk and excuses to kind of dictate the decisions we make, then we can live pretty fulfilled and we can feel more empowered. And but I also want to, and maybe this is another podcast episode, that, in a way, like we can only observe our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. And, the power that we have is the power to react on what our mind is, saying. Right. But I think that goes into another day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but definitely it comes down to kind of free will or not.
Will, yeah.
And if you have it or not. And
Mm-hmm.
but basically how you react, that's kind of the point of it. Like how you to react to anything is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And also you want to be in a place where you're not reacting, but
Right.
rather being proactive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning you already know kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah. You can anticipate. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was everything that was, what we wanted to share with you today. So,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Cool. Yeah, we have to rush for our second meeting now.
Yeah.
We're already late. Damn it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for listening, watching, and
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Rebecca. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.